If I could rewind time, I would erase just one moment, the moment I opened my mouth and ruined everything. It wasn't during the affair, not the first lie, not even the last kiss I shared with a man who wasn't my husband. No, it was a sentence. 13 words that shattered the only person who ever truly loved me. My name is Emily Harper. I'm 34 years old, a marketing executive with a predictable life, and a husband who used to leave love notes in my coffee cup. Daniel and I had been married for 8 years. Steady, comfortable, warm. That's how I describe our life together. And maybe that was the problem. Daniel is the kind of man who makes the bed each morning and remembers how I take my tea. He has a calm, centered presence that fills a room without trying. When I met him, I mistook that quiet confidence for boring. Now, I see it was grace. But at the time, it felt like something was missing. I never planned to be unfaithful. I wasn't searching for someone else. But sometimes temptation doesn't arrive with warning signs. It comes disguised as laughter on a bad day, or a lingering glance that makes you feel seen in a way you forgot you wanted. Liam Ross was a coworker. Handsome in a messy, unbothered way, he had a sharp wit and a cocky smirk that people either hated or found magnetic. I was the latter. We worked late on a product launch, and one night, our conversation drifted beyond deadlines and spreadsheets. He asked about my dreams. I didn't remember the last time someone had done that. It began with a kiss, one I justified in 1,000 silent ways. I told myself it was a mistake, until it wasn't, until it happened again and again. Each time, I promised it was the last. I would come home to Daniel, guilt pressing down on me like humidity. Yet he remained unaware, still setting the table for two, still asking how my day was, still loving me with a depth I didn't deserve. But secrets have weight. They press on your chest, slow your steps, make your laughter sound hollow. I stopped, looking Daniel in the eye. I stopped laughing at his jokes. I convinced myself he didn't notice. Then came the night I destroyed everything. Not with a betrayal, but with a truth I should have kept buried. Clara, my best friend since college, had come over for dinner. Daniel was supposed to be out, late visiting his brother. Clara and I sat on the back patio, sipping wine as the sky turned indigo. The warmth of the evening, the wine, the comfort of old friendship, it all blurred my judgment. "I think I love Liam," I said, not looking at hair. Not because he's better than Daniel, he's not. But he makes me feel alive, like I matter, like I'm not invisible. Clara froze. Her face shifted, shock first, then worry. "Emily," she whispered, "you can't mean that." Laughed, but it was brittle. "I do. I know it's wrong, but it's the truth." Those words should have stayed between us. But fate, or perhaps punishment, had other plans. A soft sound came from the hallway, the creak of the old floorboard. Daniel always avoided when he got up at night. I looked up. The sliding door was slightly ajar. My blood turned to ice. I stood, heart thudding. "Daniel?" I called, my voice cracking. Nothing. I ran inside. The entryway light was on. His keys were gone. So was his car. The wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. He had been here. He had heard everything. I called his phone, straight to voicemail. I texted him, over and over. "Where are you? Please, talk to me." I didn't mean it like that. "Come home." He never responded. That night I sat in our bedroom, surrounded by the familiar, his slippers by the bed, the half-read novel on his nightstand, the scent of his cologne lingering in the sheets, and realized I might never see him again. I had cheated on my husband, lied to him, hurt him, but it wasn't the act that broke him. It was hearing the woman he loved say she loved someone else. That was the moment I lost Daniel Harper, and I didn't even know I was being heard. The boy. Next morning, I woke up hoping it had all been a dream. But Daniel's side of the bed was cold, untouched. His slippers were still by the nightstand, but his watch was gone. So were his toothbrush and favorite hoodie, the one he only wore when something was wrong. That was the first punch to the gut. I stood in the middle of our bedroom, barefoot, paralyzed. The silence wasn't ordinary. It pulsed, like a wound beneath skin, swollen, invisible, but impossible to ignore. I checked my phone. Nothing. No missed calls, no texts. I tried his number again. Voicemail. I messaged him again, then again. Please, I'm sorry. Just come home. Just talk to me. Still nothing. By noon, dread had calcified into panic. I called his brother, Michael. He picked up on the second ring but hesitated when he heard my voice. "Is Daniel with you?" I asked. There was a pause, then coldly, "He doesn't want to talk to you, Emily." The line went dead. I sank to the floor in our kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator suddenly deafening. The night before replayed in my mind, each moment a needle threading through my chest. My words. "I think I love Liam." That single sentence was louder than any betrayal I could have confessed directly. Wanted to scream, to take it back, to explain that I didn't mean it, at least not in the way it sounded. I didn't love Liam, not really. He was a spark, a temporary fire that distracted me from the dull ache I didn't know I was nursing. Daniel was the foundation. Liam was the noise. But how do you explain that to someone who heard your heart stripped bare in the worst possible light? I drove to Liam's apartment that evening. I needed clarity, answers, or maybe just a place to collapse without drowning in guilt. He answered the door in sweatpants, his usual smugness replaced with mild irritation. "You look like hell," he muttered. "Daniel heard me," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "He what?" "I told Clara I thought I loved you. Daniel was home early. He overheard." Liam rubbed the back of his neck. "Damn. Okay, but he's your husband. People fight. He'll get over it." My stomach turned. "You don't understand. This isn't a fight. He left. He's gone." Liam shrugged as if I'd told him my internet was down. "Maybe it's for the best. You've been unhappy for a while. We both knew this wasn't just a fling." I stared at him. "It wasn't?" I asked, almost to myself. That was when I realized the truth. Liam didn't love me. He liked the chase, the thrill of forbidden glances and stolen nights. But the moment reality crept in, he pulled away. "I need space," I said quietly, backing out of his apartment. He didn't stop me. When I got home, I stood in our bedroom again, staring at the emptiness where Daniel's things used to be. My mind wandered to the little things. His laugh during late-night movies, the way he'd hold my hand in the grocery store, the time he drove 3 hours just to bring me soup when I had the flu. All the things that mattered. All the things I threw away chasing a feeling I couldn't even define. I picked up the picture frame from our nightstand. It was a photo from our 3rd anniversary. Daniel had just surprised me with a weekend trip to the mountains. I remembered how he looked at me then, like I was his whole world. And now, I had burned that world to ash with a careless confession and a selfish mistake. I thought the affair would be the hardest secret to bear, but it wasn't. It was the silence that followed, the sudden, deafening absence of his voice, his presence, his love. It's strange how silence can scream louder than any argument, louder than slammed doors or broken dishes. It tells you everything. You are no longer worth the fight. You are already gone in their eyes. I slept with the bedroom door open that night, a foolish hope that I'd hear his key in the lock, footsteps in the hallway, the soft weight of forgiveness beside me. But morning came, and the silence remained. And I realized that losing someone doesn't always come with an ending. Sometimes it comes with nothing at all. 2 months passed without a single word from Daniel. Not a text, not a call, not even an accidental email. It was as though I'd been erased, not just from his present, but from his past too. He vanished with surgical precision. No trace. No drama, just absence, like a ghost who'd decided he no longer wanted to haunt the home we'd built together. Then the envelope arrived. No return address. No handwritten note. Just our names, side by side at the top of a cold legal document. Petition for divorce. My hands trembled as I turned the pages. I had imagined this moment 100 different ways. Tears, confrontation, maybe even one last argument. But this was sterile, formal, as if we'd never loved each other at all. I signed the papers in silence, each stroke of the pen cutting deeper than the last. My name, scrawled beside the man I had once promised forever to, now marked the end of everything. And yet there was still no message, no closure. A week later, I wrote him a letter. Not typed, not polished, just raw words in my own handwriting, the same one he used to tease me about when I scribbled grocery lists on napkins. I poured out the truth, not excuses, not apologies wrapped in blame, just truth. I told him I had been lost, not because of him, but because of myself. I confessed how I mistook excitement for meaning, how I let fleeting validation eclipse years of loyalty and love. I told him I never stopped loving him, not even when I lied, especially not then. I begged for nothing. I simply said goodbye. I mailed it, knowing I'd probably never know if he read it. Maybe that was mercy. For weeks, I drifted through the days like a visitor in my own life. Work became a blur of meaningless tasks. The house, once filled with warmth, now echoed. I boxed up Daniel's things with shaking hands. Shirts I could still smell him on, books he left dog-eared, the scarf I had knitted him during our first winter together. I couldn't bring myself to throw anything away. So I stored it all in the attic, as if keeping the memory in darkness would hurt less. Then one rainy Thursday, I found myself in a coffee shop across town, trying to escape the heaviness that clung to our home. I was sipping lukewarm coffee, half reading a book I didn't care about, when I looked up and saw him. Daniel. Across the room, near the window. Wearing a navy sweater I didn't recognize, his hair slightly longer, his posture still calm, but heavier. Older somehow. Wiser. Or just more worn, I couldn't tell. My breath caught in my throat. He hadn't seen me. I should have left. I should have turned, fled, preserved the distance he'd so clearly chosen. But I couldn't move. I watched him stir his coffee, check his phone, smile politely at the barista. All the things he used to do with me, now done without a trace of pain on his face. Then, for a split second, his eyes met mine, and he froze. Time halted. The noise of the cafe dulled. My heart pounded like a war drum, but he didn't approach. He didn't scowl or smile or speak. He just gave the smallest nod, barely perceptible, then turned back to the window. A few minutes later, he left. And just like that, Daniel Harper walked out of my life a second time. This time, with finality. I sat there for a long time after that, coffee gone cold, eyes fixed on the seat he'd occupied. There was no grand confrontation, no forgiveness, no punishment, just silence. And somehow that hurt more than if he'd screamed. When I finally got home, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry. I was grieving. Not just the man I lost, but the version of myself I destroyed. We don't always get to apologize face to face. Sometimes the damage is too deep, too raw. Sometimes love ends not with shouting or slamming doors, but with stillness. And in that stillness, I found something like peace. I still dream of him sometimes. In my dreams, we're not broken. We're just sitting on the patio, glasses of wine in hand, the sky turning indigo. And I never say the words that ruined us. I just smile, and he smiles back. I don't know if he remembers me kindly, but I hope, wherever he is, he's healing. And maybe one day, I will too.